Hi, I'm Rick with PLP Battery Supply, and today we're in our battery repair shop, and we're going to go over just quickly replacing a clamp on a cable. You can run into this a lot on battery chargers where you need to replace clamps. This particular demonstration is going to be a larger clamp. We're going to be using one of these big 400 amp clamps like we have in this set. And to give you an idea of what you're liable to run into, clamps like these guys that are just wore out. They're bent, the jaws are messed up, and they're just full of crap. So you frequently have to replace clamps on chargers. They are, when they get bad, that's one of the first things that can cause you problems because they turn into a really high resistance connection. Whenever you attach it to the battery or attach it to the ground, when these things start going bad, they'll really get hot and start generating a lot of heat, which is a sign that you've got a lot of resistance, which means that you're really cutting down on the capacity of what the charger's putting out. So replacing clamps is something that everybody ought to know how to do. It's not very difficult. I'm going to start out, I'm going to be using this piece of nice 4-gauge welding cable, which is pretty typical of what you see on a good battery charger. Our clamp set actually has some pretty good instructions on the back. The main thing that you need to remember whenever you're going to be replacing one of these kind of clamps where the cable has to go in through the handle and then attach to the back side of the jaw, the main thing to remember is don't take the jaw off and attach it to the cable. Make sure that you run it through the clamp and then attach the jaw, because you have to pull it back through to screw it back and attach it. So with this clamp, the first thing we have to do is we have to take the jaw off because it is attached. Fairly simple little operation. So the jaw pops right out, and this is what you have. You've got the jaw, and you've got an area right here in the middle between this is actually a strain relief, and this is the jaw itself, and this is the part that's going to clamp onto the cable. This part back here is just going to fold over the insulation. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our cable and we're going to feed it through the clamp. And on this one, it actually has a little, I don't know if you can see that or not, it's got a little rounded part to the bottom of the spring. On this side it's flat, this side's rounded. That is that way so that you can feed that cable underneath there, so it helps to retain the cable. I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit. So we're going to feed that cable through there, pull it on out so we can work with it. And I've set this thing out of the way. I've just set it over here on the side of the clamp. I'm going to leave that out of the way until I'm all done. When I'm done, I will pop it back over and put it on top of that. That way we don't have to fight it while we're doing all this work on it. So we're going to speed things up here. I have cheated and already cut the insulation off the end of the cable. That's about how much we want to expose. There's fancy tools for that, or you can use a box knife. Either one works. So what you should have is you should have the cable should lay right down in there like that. This is a really nice fit. You've got enough cable through the center that I can fold that over, and I'm going to actually solder this. I'm going to prepare it for soldering, and then we can fold this over and clamp onto that insulation, and that'll give us that strain relief we were talking about. So the first thing we need to do is just take a pair of pliers. I'm going to bend them over a little bit and just solder it. Okay, so we've got the cable stranding inside these two tabs pushed together. They're not going to go anywhere. That's good enough for tension for us to solder it. And then we get done with that, we'll go ahead and we'll push these two guys over, we'll bend them over and provide that strain relief. So next, fire. So what we've got here is we've got the solder. Can't really see any here on the plate, but it's all up inside the stranding, and it's soldered to the inside of these tabs. Okay, so now this thing's cooled off enough that we can actually handle it. These two little tabs here, the strain relief tabs, all we're going to do is bend those over, just a pair of channel locks. You don't have to squeeze them on there too tight. You just want it to grip that insulation a little bit so that the insulation is catching some of that pull whenever this cable gets pulled on. And you kind of squeeze it down where it's nice and pretty, and maybe a little bit more of this. Yeah, there we go. It's not rocket science. It's more of just, whatever you think looks good and feels good. So there's that. Now, what we have to do is get this back inside the clamp where it belongs. So just pull it right back in there, and all these clamps are pretty much the same, whether it's one of these or it's a nicer associated clamp or a cheaper one, it doesn't matter, they all work pretty much the same way. So we've got the jaw in there, and we're going to put the nut back on, tighten that thing down, and then we're going to call it good. So after we've got that jaw in there nice and tight, we're really down to not a whole lot left to do. We'll pull that guy off, get it out of the way, and all we've got left is we want to bring this spring over the top. Here, I'll just cheat. Just bring it right over the top of the cable. So it'll look like this when you're done. I don't know how well we can see that. But that spring with that little curve on it holds that. And then the only thing left to do is bend these guys down. And you can again use some pliers and bend that over a little bit. Kind of keeps that cable from going anywhere. So you end up with something that looks like that. And you're done. Now you've got a really nice little 400 amp clamp on the end of a piece of 4-foot wire. That's all there is to that little job. Really don't have too much to add to it. I think pretty much you saw everything there was to see. These kind of clamps are available in, this is sort of what I would call a medium duty. It's more towards the heavier side. It's 400 amp. But you can get 500, even an 800 amp clamp. You can go all the way down to 50 amp clamp. Anything that's got an independent jaw, like these, which would be anything this size or larger, goes together this way. Anything that's smaller is typically a jaw built into the handle. And when you have that, then you're basically just going to be soldering directly to the back side of the handle inside of it. But it pretty much always comes down to either a crimp and solder or a solder only. If it's the smaller ones, it's just going to be solder. And you don't have to have a butane torch or propane torch. You can, on the smaller ones, you can just use a soldering iron. That works fine. But you never want to, on the small ones, you just don't want to try to do a crimp only on that little wire. It's not going to work, or it's not going to last very long. You want to do that solder connection, and you always want to make sure that you do take care of your strain reliefs, because if you don't, what'll happen is you'll end up breaking that wire internally somewhere. This 4-gauge welding cable is not going to break, but if you're using a smaller gauge wire, or if you're on a small charger where you've got like a little 12 gauge or something like that on a 50 amp clamp, those will break. So solder it, do it right. On these bigger ones, remember to pull that cable through and work the jaw out in front of the clamp. Not everybody's going to have, you're not going to have, when you're working on a charger doing this, you're not going to have the benefit of being able to fix your mistake by coming off the back end, because you know they're attached to something on the other end. So that's pretty much it. I would say take your time, be careful, try not to burn yourself. If you have any questions, give us a call. PLP Battery Supply. Thanks a lot.